The sun was already high over Aja Market when the street suddenly went quiet. It did not happen slowly. One moment there was shouting, bus horns, loud music from a nearby shop, and the sharp hiss of frying oil. The next moment, everything froze. Three long black SUVs rolled into the narrow dusty street, engines humming low like something dangerous. Children stopped playing. A woman selling tomatoes held a plastic bowl in midair. Even the man calling out, pure water, lost his voice for a second. No one breathed. The cars did not belong here. Not on this kind of street. Not on this kind of morning. They stopped right in front of a broken wooden kiosk that had been pushed halfway into the gutter. On the ground, just beside the shattered planks and bent metal poles, Linda sat with her knees pulled to her chest. Her small charcoal grill lay on its side, ashes scattered like gray sand. Her hands shook as she held on to one last unbroken tray. Her eyes were red and swollen. Anyone passing could see that she had been crying for a long time. She did not look up when the first SUV door opened. A polished shoe stepped out. Then a tall man followed. He wore a white shirt that almost glowed in the sun, black trousers, and a wristwatch that caught the light like a tiny star. Two security men stepped down behind him, scanning the crowd, hands close to the sides of their jackets. People in the market stared. Someone near the back whispered, "Is he a governor?" Another voice answered, "No, I know that face. I have seen him on the news." A third person pulled out a phone and gasped. On the screen, a headline shone, "Billionaire tech founder Kenechukwu Obi still missing from public view." The man in the photo was the same man now standing on the dusty street of Aja. Kenechukwu Kine Obi. The billionaire people thought had disappeared. The billionaire the internet had not stopped talking about. The billionaire who, just a few months ago, had stepped into this same market dressed as a poor, tired mechanic's apprentice, oil on his hands and dust on his clothes, just so he could listen to real people and steal the next big business idea. Nobody knew that part yet, not even Linda. From where she sat on the floor, Linda finally heard the new silence. It was different from the quiet after her kiosk had been destroyed. That one felt heavy and lonely. This one felt tight, like the air itself was holding its breath. She wiped her face with the back of her hand and slowly raised her head. At first, she only saw the cars. Big, dark, scary. Then she saw the man. Her heart skipped. The face was familiar, very familiar. Same eyes, same gentle jawline, same way he stood with his shoulders a little slanted to one side. But the clothes were wrong. The watch was wrong. The cars were very, very wrong. Her mind fought with itself. It cannot be him. It looks like him. No, this one is rich. My own Keen is just a mechanic's boy. He cannot even afford new shoes. The man took a step forward, then another, then another. His eyes did not look at the cars. They did not look at the security men. They did not even look at the crowd, where phones were already lifted high, recording every second. His eyes were fixed on her, on the girl sitting in the dust. On the girl whose life had just fallen apart with one landlord's wicked swing of a hammer. On the girl who had once told a stranger with dirty clothes and hungry eyes, "Come and eat first. You can pay later. Life is hard sometimes." Now that stranger was walking toward her like a king. Inside his chest, Keen's heart pounded so loudly he could feel it in his throat. He had stood on big stages before. He had spoken in front of cameras, investors, and presidents. He had launched apps that shook the business world. But none of that had made him this afraid. This had not been the plan. The plan weeks ago had been simple. Disguise himself as a poor man, walk through real streets, sit with real people, listen to real problems, steal a fresh idea for his next billionaire project. He wanted a new angle for a street food delivery platform, something big investors would love. The board had told him to think different, to get close to the ground. So he had done exactly that. He had put on torn jeans. He had rubbed grease on his hands. He had walked the hot roads of Aja like any other struggling youth. Then he had seen her, and everything had changed. Now he was no longer only trying to protect a business idea. He was trying to protect the only person who had treated him like a human being when he looked like nothing. And today, He was about to lose her or win her. He had no idea which one would happen. Keene stopped in front of Linda. For a second, neither of them spoke. The market watched. A baby cried somewhere at the edge of the crowd. A woman hushed the child quickly, afraid to miss whatever was about to happen. Linda's voice came out small, shaking. Why are you looking at me like that? She asked. Do you know me, sir? The last word, sir, cut deep into him. She had never called him that before. To her, he had always just been Keene, the quiet mechanics boy who helped her grind pepper when customers were many. Now she was speaking to him like a stranger. Her eyes searched his face, and then he saw it. The moment her brain lined up the pieces, the shape of his nose, the tiny scar near his eyebrow, the way he half smiled when he was nervous. Her eyes widened. Keene, she whispered. No, that is not possible. The crowd gasped. Did she say Keene? She knows him? How can a roadside seller know a billionaire? Phones moved closer. Someone went on Facebook Live. Keene took a slow breath. Yes, he said softly. It is me. Linda's heart hammered so hard that her fingers felt numb. For weeks she had trusted this man. She had given him free food when he said he could not pay. She had told him about her sick younger brother, about the rent she was struggling to pay, about the fear that one day her kiosk would be taken away. She had laughed with him. She had shouted at him playfully when he burned plantains. She had believed his stories about working at a small mechanic shop. Never, not once, had she imagined that he was secretly one of the richest young men in Lagos. Her mind spun. If he had that much money, then why had he watched her suffer? Why had he let her work 14 hours each day until she almost collapsed? Why had he stood there yesterday when the landlord broke her kiosk, his face full of pain but his hands empty? If he was rich, he could have stopped it. He could have changed everything. Her chest ached. You lied to me, she said, voice breaking. Keene felt the words like a slap. I did not mean to lie, he answered quickly. I only wanted... But she cut him off. Who are you really? She asked, louder this time. Tell me the truth in front of everyone, right now. Her voice shook the quiet street. All eyes turned to him. Even the birds on the power lines seemed to pause. The board members at his company had once begged him not to do this. They had warned him that mixing his secret research with real people would get messy. They had said, if you pretend to be poor, someone will get hurt. They had been right. But they did not know that the someone would be him. Keene's throat felt dry, but he forced himself to speak. Linda, he said, my name is... He stopped. His eyes moved to the side, to something big and covered with a white cloth behind the last SUV. Workers stood there waiting, their hands on ropes and metal stands. If he told her now, there would be no going back. No more simple days at the kiosk. No more small jokes about burnt plantains. No more hiding. Her life would change forever. So would his. Keene closed his eyes for half a second. Then he opened them, looked straight at her, and spoke clearly so that everyone in Aja Market could hear. My name is Kenechukwu Obi, and I... For a moment after he said his name, the whole market felt like it stopped breathing. My name is Kenechukwu Obi. The words hung in the air like thunder about to crack open the sky. People leaned in. Phones rose higher. A child tugged at his mother's wrapper and whispered, Is that the rich man from TV? But Linda couldn't hear them. Her ears felt full of rushing wind. Her heartbeat drowned everything else out. This was the man she had given food to, the man she had trusted, the man who had helped her grind pepper and fix broken metal sheets, the man she had believed was just trying his best to survive, like her. And now he was standing here, dressed like royalty, with guards by his side, SUVs behind him, and cameras pointed at her face. Her world felt like it had flipped upside down. Keene stepped closer, but she shifted back. Don't come close yet, she whispered, barely loud enough for him to hear. His chest tightened, but he stopped. The crowd stared harder. One woman murmured, If she shouts for help now, these guards will beat him. Another woman replied, Help? Look at those cars. She should marry him quickly. But Linda wasn't thinking about marriage. She was thinking about betrayal. "Keeney," she finally said, her voice unsteady, "you need to explain." He nodded slowly. He didn't want to explain here, not in a crowded street where rumors spread faster than Harmattan wind. But she deserved the truth. She deserved every truth he had been running from. He took a small breath and began. "I didn't come to Aja because I wanted to play poor," he said quietly. "I came because my life was falling apart." People pressed in closer. Linda blinked, confused. "You? Your life? You're a billionaire." "That's exactly the problem," he replied. His eyes drifted past her for a moment, as if looking at memories instead of faces. "In my world, everyone smiles at your money, not at you. People want connections, favors, contracts. They want something from you. Every single day." He paused. "Some months ago, I had a meeting with my board. They said I was losing touch with real people, that our company was building things for Nigeria without understanding Nigeria." He gave a half smile, small, tired. They were right. Linda listened, her breathing slowing a little. "So I told them I needed time. I wanted to walk around, talk to ordinary people, see life outside glass offices. And I needed to do it without security, without suits, without anyone knowing who I was." He lifted his hand slightly. "That's why I dress like a mechanic." The market murmured. Some nodded, some frowned. One man shouted, "Sona play you day play?" But Keene ignored the noise. He kept his eyes on Linda. "I planned to stay a few days, maybe a week, then go back to work with ideas I gathered." He swallowed. "But then, I met you." Linda's eyes widened. Keene continued, voice softer now. "You were kind to me when you thought I was nobody. You gave me food without asking how I would pay. You let me sit at your kiosk when customers were few. You told me about your life, about your brother, your mother, your dreams." Linda's throat tightened. "I had never met anyone who treated me like that," he said. "You didn't look at my clothes and see failure. You didn't look at my hands and see struggle. You just saw a person." He exhaled shakily. "And I didn't want that feeling to end." The crowd fell silent again. Even Linda felt her anger soften, but a deeper fear rose in her instead. "But why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. "Why did you let me believe you were suffering? Why let me worry about you? Why let me—" She stopped herself before the last word came out. "Feel." Keene's face tightened with guilt. "I wanted to tell you so many times, but every time I tried, I got scared." He rubbed his hands together slowly. "I was scared that the moment you knew who I really was, you would stop talking to me the way you used to." Linda looked down at the dirt between them. "And when your landlord destroyed your kiosk," Keene added, voice cracking, "I felt useless. I knew I could help, but if I stepped in as a billionaire, you would feel like I had been watching your pain from a safe place." He paused. "And you were right to feel that way." Linda closed her eyes for a second. Her emotions crashed into each other. Hurt, confusion, a strange warmth she didn't want to name, and fear of what would come next. She was not angry because he was rich. She was angry because he had hidden it. She opened her eyes again. "So what now?" she asked, her voice quiet but steady. "What do you want from me?" The crowd leaned in so far that one man almost fell over. Keene looked straight into her eyes. "I want to make things right," he said. He signaled to the men by the last SUV. They pulled away the white cloth. Gasps exploded through the market. Under the cloth stood a brand new modern restaurant kiosk, painted bright, with a shiny signboard, built-in shelves, stainless steel counters, and solar panels on the roof. People screamed. Someone shouted, "This girl Don win jackpot!" Someone else yelled, "Ah, God, remember me too!" But Linda did not smile. She stared at the kiosk with shaking hands. Then she turned slowly back to him. "Keeney," she whispered, "why would you do all this?" Her voice trembled. "What are you not telling me?" Keeney froze. His heart dropped to his stomach. Because she was right. He had told her part of the truth, but not all of it. Not the biggest secret. Not the real reason he had returned in a convoy. Not the danger that followed him everywhere. His eyes darkened, and before he could answer, a distant shout broke the air. Someone from the far end of the market yelled, "Everybody, run! They are coming back!" The crowd screamed and scattered. Workers jumped back. Phones dropped. And Keen's face turned cold instantly, because he knew exactly who was coming. Not press, not fans, not curious strangers. Something worse. Something he had been trying to avoid since the day he disappeared from the public eye. Chaos hit Asia Market like a wave. Stalls shook. Buckets rolled. Mothers grabbed their children. Men dove behind wheelbarrows. In one breath, the busy morning turned into a storm of running feet and terrified voices. But Linda wasn't running. She couldn't. She stood frozen in front of Keen, confused, shaking, and staring at the direction everyone else was fleeing from. Who? Who is coming?" she whispered. Keen didn't answer. His jaw clenched. His body stiffened. His eyes, dark, sharp, alert, shifted toward the far end of the street. The guards around him moved instantly, forming a tight half circle. Their hands slipped under their jackets, ready. And that was when Linda knew. Whoever was coming, it wasn't something small. Through the dust rising from the running crowd, a shape appeared. Tall, slow, deliberate. Then another figure behind him, then a third. 3 men all dressed in dark clothes, walking through the panic like they were strolling on a quiet sidewalk. They looked wrong for the area. Too clean, too calm, too confident. Their eyes didn't move with the crowd. They moved with intention, and every step they took made the air feel heavier. Linda's heart thudded. "Keen," she whispered, "who are they?" He finally spoke, voice low. "They're not here for you." "But they're dangerous?" He swallowed hard. "Yes." Linda felt the world tilt again. First he was poor, then he was a billionaire. Now dangerous men were coming after him? "Tell me the truth," she said, her voice shaking. "What is going on?" Keen didn't look at her. His eyes stayed locked on the approaching men. "Linda, the reason I disappeared from the public eye wasn't only because I wanted new business ideas." He took a step forward, placing himself between her and the threat. "I was being followed, watched, used." Linda blinked fast. "What do you mean?" "They wanted the new tech we were building. The street food delivery idea I was researching was only part of it. My company was working on something bigger, something someone wanted to steal." The guards shifted, preparing. Linda's breath caught. "You mean someone is after you because of business?" "No," he said quietly. "Because of revenge." Her stomach tightened. "Revenge? From who?" His voice dropped even lower. "From people who think I ruined their lives." That sentence hit her like a slap. Before she could ask more, a sharp whistle cut through the air. The 3 men were now only seconds away. One of them called out loudly, "Kini Obi, you think you can hide in the market? We told you we would find you anywhere." Gasps burst from the hiding crowd. Linda stepped backward, fear rushing through her chest like cold water. Keen stretched an arm in front of her without looking back. "Stay behind me." The men stopped just a few feet from the escorts. Their leader was tall with a small scar under his eye. He smiled in a way that made Linda's skin crawl. "You left the city too fast," the man said calmly. "We didn't finish our business." Keen's guard stepped forward, blocking him. The man laughed. "Relax. We're not here to fight today. Not unless your guards force us." Keen's voice was steady when he finally spoke. "You shouldn't be here. We go where the money is," the man replied. "And you owe us." Linda covered her mouth. "Owe who?" The man's eyes flicked to her briefly. "Ah, so this is the girl they're gossiping about." Keen snapped sharply. "Don't look at her." The man smirked. "Protective, are we? Interesting. But don't worry. I'm not here to hurt her. I'm here to remind you about our agreement." Keen's face hardened. "There is no agreement. I told you I'm not helping you launder anything." Linda's throat went dry. "Launder? As in crime?" Before she could even process it fully, the man clicked his tongue. "You think walking around Aja in dirty clothes made you invisible? My boss doesn't like being embarrassed. You vanished from your offices, your mansion, but we knew you'd return to the streets eventually. You always return to the people, don't you?" His grin widened. "Especially this one." He nodded at Linda. Her heart skipped painfully. "Leave her out of this," Keene said, voice sharp. The man stepped closer, ignoring the guards moving in his way. "Then you better solve your problem before she learns the whole truth." He leaned forward slightly. "You didn't tell her why you're really running, did you?" Silence. Linda's chest tightened. "Keene," she whispered. "What is he talking about?" Keene didn't answer. The man chuckled. "She doesn't know. Wow, this is rich." Then he stepped back. "We will give you one more warning, Obi." His eyes went cold. "Pay what you owe, or we take what will hurt you the most." He turned slightly toward Linda and whispered, "People you care about." Keene lunged forward, but the guards held him back. "Don't you dare touch her." The man raised his hands casually. "Relax. I only deliver messages. The real trouble is coming." Then he walked away with his men, disappearing into the same dust they arrived in. And as soon as they left, the entire market exhaled. Linda's knees weakened. She grabbed onto the side of the broken kiosk to steady herself. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Keenan, please tell me that man was lying." Keenan closed his eyes. He couldn't. The market slowly returned to life. One woman picked up her scattered tomatoes. A man pushed his wheelbarrow out from under a shed. Children peeked out from behind their mother's wrappers. But Linda didn't notice any of it. Her eyes stayed fixed on Keene, on the fear hiding behind his calm face, on the stiffness in his jaw, on the way his hands wouldn't stop shaking. She had never seen him like this. "Tell me," she whispered again, voice barely steady. "Tell me that man was lying." Keene didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at his guards, then at the destroyed kiosk, then at the crowd still whispering and recording with their phones. His chest rose and fell slowly, like someone struggling to breathe. "Linda, we can't talk about this here." Her heart dropped. "No," she said, taking a step closer. "You're not leaving me confused again. Not after everything I just heard." Her voice wasn't angry. It was scared, very scared. Keene swallowed and finally nodded. "Fine," he said softly. "I'll tell you everything. But not here, not in front of cameras, not somewhere innocent people can get hurt." Linda folded her arms, trying to stop them from shaking. "I'm not going anywhere with you until I understand what's happening," she said. The fear in her voice twisted in Keene's chest like a knife. He took a slow breath.
Watch out for part
"Okay,"
2.
he said. "Then I'll tell you here. But I need you to be strong." She nodded, even though she felt anything but strong. Keene stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she and the closest guards could hear. "Linda, those men work for one of the biggest fraud rings in Lagos." Her eyes widened instantly. He shook his head quickly. "I have never worked with them. Never. But years ago, someone inside my company did." He paused. "It was a contract team, an outside group we hired for a digital security project. At the time, they looked legitimate. We trusted them." His eyes darkened. "But they were using their position in my company to transfer large sums of dirty money. And when I discovered it, I shut everything down." Linda's mouth fell slightly open. "You stopped them?" "Yes." "What happened after?" He hesitated. Too long. "What happened, Keene?" He sighed. "They lost billions, and they blamed me." Linda felt the air around her shift. "You mean they wanted revenge because you exposed them?" "Yeah," he said quietly. "And the police?" she asked. "You didn't tell them?" "I did," he replied. "But those men have power in places the police can't touch. They were arrested once, but they got out quickly. Too quickly. That's when I knew they were coming for me." Linda felt a cold shiver run down her spine. "So you disappeared?" He nodded. "I needed time to review every part of my company, to find the hole they used, to rebuild security. And yes, to walk among real people, to think clearly without pressure, expectations, or greedy eyes watching me." Linda's face softened, but her fear didn't fade. "Then why come here dressed poor?" she asked quietly. Keene rubbed his forehead. "I wanted to learn how people survive, what they need, what they fear. My board asked for a new idea, something real, not corporate. So I went out into the world as any struggling Nigerian." His eyes lifted to hers. "And then I met you." Her stomach twisted. "You should have told me sooner." "I know," he whispered. "So Linda said slowly. Those men, the ones who came today, what do they want now? Keen's voice turned cold. They want access to my work, to the new app I'm building. They think if they can force me to cooperate, they can launder money through it without being caught. Linda's hands flew to her mouth. I refuse, he added. Completely. Then they came after you. They threatened me first. Then they threatened my company. Then they threatened my family. And now, his eyes lowered to her. Now they know there's someone else I care about. Linda felt her heart slam into her ribs. She stepped back a little. Keen, she whispered. Don't say that. Don't drag me into danger. He stepped forward instantly, voice firm. You're not in danger. I won't let that happen. You can't promise that, she said, voice rising. Those men just walked into the market like they owned it. I know, he replied, and that's why I'm here, to end this. Linda stared at him. You think you can fight them alone? No, he said. That's why I brought the convoy. The police are watching from outside the market. My legal team is in Lagos Island preparing documents. My partners overseas are tracking every move those men make. He paused. And the new kiosk I brought, it wasn't only a gift. Linda blinked. What do you mean? Keen breathed in. It's bait. Her eyes flew wide. Bait? He nodded. To draw those men out into the open, to make them attack in a way the police can finally catch them. Linda staggered back, shocked. So you used my kiosk to trap criminals? No, Linda, listen. But she lifted her hand sharply, stopping him. No, you listen. You should have told me. You should have prepared me. You should have kept me safe. Instead, you use my pain, my business, my home, to catch criminals? Her voice cracked. Keen, you put me in danger. The crowd around them went dead silent again. Even the guards shifted nervously. Keen looked devastated. I didn't want to, he whispered. I needed a way to end this once and for all. And I thought I could protect you. You thought wrong, she said softly. Her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. I don't know who you are anymore. Keen stepped forward, desperate. Linda, please. But she shook her head and backed away. No, not now. My head is spinning. She took another step back. I need space. The words hit him harder than a punch. Linda, don't follow me. She turned and walked away through the crowd. And Keen? He stood there frozen, watching her leave. His guards looked at him, waiting for orders. But Keen said nothing, because for the first time since this whole mess began, he had truly lost control. Thanks for watching. What's your view about this story? Where are you watching from? Do well to let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories. Stay blessed.
Watch out for part 2.